year, had a
Right.
company that sells tillers, and they contacted me today and are like, "Hey, we want to send a tiller out for you guys." And it's like, dude, I may not be able to get the fraud.
For instance, and I'm not supposed to say anything to anyone. Well, here it doesn't matter, but like
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
Facebook, really post pictures or talk about it or anything. But Blanca and I went to the courthouse today because our oldest daughter got married
Oh, wow.
this morning. Yeah. Well, she's expecting, and that's been a real exciting thing for us. The baby's due in June, and he got her, ring and all that stuff, and they went and got married.
Nice.
And I think they called, and it ended up being Valentine's Day, and he's like, I don't want to be on TV, They always put Valentine's Day people on TV, so I'll call him later. And I don't blame him. He's kind of a modest guy. And the reason I bring it up is because not only does things happen, and by the way, I found out about this last week.
That's what I was just gonna say. It's like when did they make the plans and such, or when did you notify?
Maybe a week and a half ago. It was mentioned to me because the way it was first presented to me was, look, they're gonna do this, and they're not gonna make a big deal about it, and they're not even inviting anybody but me and his mother to be witnesses.
Okay.
Okay, then I won't make a thing of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think maybe Sunday, she says, Jeannie wants you to be there. Okay. And then last night it was like, well, Jeannie wants you to pick grandma up on the way. It's like, okay. I'm still pretending it's not a thing, and it's a nice thing. It's a happy occasion. I'm glad it's, this is something that I'm definitely for, I'm for this happening. With the baby coming, it's just nice, that they're doing this. And I like him. He's a nice guy. And then something I don't know if I've mentioned or not, I'm trying not to really think about it too much, but it's there. And it's kind of the pink elephant, in my life right now that I'm not acknowledging. But my youngest daughter wants to get married this summer.
Oh, my.
And she's making plans for it and everything. And I've been very out of the loop on that. It's not something people have discussed too much with me. And the reason I bring this up, and the reason all of this is relevant to Disc Jockey News TV, is because this all revolves around weddings. And it also revolves around my perception of how this stuff is supposed to go down. Because although I'm doing ceremonies and cocktails and receptions, quite frankly, I think I'm doing very well with them, contemporary style, kind of going with the times. I was very out of touch with all of the back end stuff that happens. Because, okay, both of my sisters, are married. And my oldest sister got married when I was 7 years old. And they're going to be celebrating 40 years soon.
Sure, yeah.
And I remember the 17-year-old guy came to our house and asked my dad if that was cool, And my dad's like, okay, cool. And then when my other sister got married, I remember same thing. I was there. And, nobody asked me a damn thing. They just don't do that anymore, I guess.
It's sometimes like, you hear stories of this. I mean,
but I'm being told, okay, either I'm getting completely dissed on this, or I'm being told that that's not really how they do stuff anymore.
It isn't, and that's one of the things that was really surprising about one of my boys who has a girlfriend. He went as far as to they were going out. They were in church groups together, and they were doing some things like a group. And he actually went to the point where he asked her father if they could go out on a date together.
I think that's cool.
It was like it was cool, but it was so unusual in this day and age.
Right. So I guess, yeah. Again, I'm just like, well, aren't they going to do this or this or this? And it's like, no. Okay. I guess I'll just do nothing. I'll just sit here because there's nothing for me to do. There's no one's asking me anything one way or the other, even in the planning stages of things. And you would think that me being the guy I am, maybe they might ask me for some suggestions on a few things. The only thing that my daughter asked me about was, well, could you just handle the DJ part of it? Not to do it, but to just find a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Wavy Davies stepped up. He's like, yeah, of course. So Wavy Davies gonna handle that for us, and I couldn't put it in better hands. I mean, he's my guy. I did his wedding, and if I were to ever do something like get married, I would have him because I trust him.
Sure.
So he's my first choice for just a standard wedding. Now, if it was a mixed Latino wedding, maybe I'd have Art come in. But
Yeah, depending upon what you were doing, yes.
sure, yeah. So it's a DJ for every occasion. Not all. It's not a one size fits all thing. So I guess those are the kind of things I'm thinking about too. Now, if our oldest comes up and says, like in a year and a half or whatever, hey, look, we're going to go ahead and have this wedding reception now, and who do you recommend? At that point, I would probably recommend Art Turtle because, we're Puerto Rican over here.
Yeah.
So he can do both, and then I can step up and really handle the white people stuff. So not that there are going to be a lot of white people, but
right. Yep.
Because it's nobody's white except me. It's Filipino and Latino. So, but at any rate, the non-Spanish stuff I can handle.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just different. I'm as hip as I thought I was with how weddings work and how the structure of receptions work, and as many wedding ceremonies as I've played for. I'm just got to admit that I just wasn't in touch with the back end stuff. So
give me an example. Give me an example of one of the pieces that back end things that you were like, huh?
Yeah. I guess this is going to be, I'm going to file this under empathy for father of the bride.
Okay.
So I'm going to chalk it up as learning experience. So if I can use this in my professional life, when I do these weddings, I guess I'm thinking about this guy a little different, because I used to think about him as the guy who gave the big speech, and he was kind of the guy, he was the guy. He ain't the guy. Not even kinda. He's nothing. He's lucky he's there, and I gotta remember that next time I do a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I just want to be extra nice to him.
Sure.
And make him feel included, because it sucks when you don't feel included.
Mm-hmm. I could definitely see that.
I just wanted to bring that up at the top of the show. I thought it was in a weird roundabout way kind of relevant.
Oh, certainly. Certainly for wedding DJs, having that other perspective, I think would be a great thing. But most of the time, the number of times we've heard DJs, the reason why they got into it is because at my own wedding, the DJ sucked. And I thought to myself, I love music. I could do better than that.
I can do that. Yeah.
And it's coming from on the other side where you were the DJ first and now experiencing it, not in your wedding, but it would give you a completely different.
Yeah, somebody else involved. Now, I've stood up in weddings. I've done that stuff. I've been best man. I've done that. I've attended weddings, but to be there full circle, it's just different. Mm-hmm. And Blanca doesn't have a dad. He's been gone for 30 years.
Okay.
So I would, that was never, and most, I think every girl but one that I've dated in my adult life hasn't really had a dad in the picture. So I never had to think about that. Mm-hmm. But I always saw, kind of how my dad played that role.
Sure.
And assumed, dumb me, that it was still that way, but it's not even kind of that way.
You're just another guest.
Just another moron at the wedding. Yeah. That's it.
Here's the list, and that's where I am. Thanks for playing.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So that was all I got on that. Just wanted to throw it out there.
So tonight, let's kind of jump into tonight's topic. I wanted to hit on this a little bit because last week, Brian, we talked about kind of establishing our price for our services. And one of the parts that that you had taken, and actually last night I put together a document, a spreadsheet that a person could go and actually implement their numbers. And one of the things that I've used a variation of that before, but I've always struggled with the gear. So we utilized your 5% rental as part of that formula last night. And the interesting part about it is that it's really quite accurate. When you enter your time in there and your hourly rate and different things, it's like, wow, that's almost exactly what my average wedding show is going for. So,
Right.
So that was last week. After we did our pricing talk on Tuesday night, a lot of people were calling. It's like, hey, that's great. I can price myself at $1,000. I can price myself at $1,500, whatever it is. How do I convey value? And I think there's a few things, and we've talked about some of these in the past. So for some of you, this is going to be review, but for some of you, this might be just a different way to kind of think about some of this, what we're going to be talking about when it comes to value. And that's after we've established our pricing and such. And Brian, what I'm going to be basically I want your opinion on some of these different aspects of it. So that's why you're going to be in reaction mode pretty much tonight.
Okay.
But
I like that.
I know where you're going to be coming for a lot of these. That's why I'm going to ask that. So, first off, when we're talking about showing the value in different things, I want to start with finding the right person. When you are talking to people, and when you have the right person in front of you, how does that differentiate having the right person in front of you that's a good fit compared to someone who isn't a good fit for you when it comes to them understanding you?
Well, it makes all the difference in the world. With me, I mean, and this is probably a reflection on how poor of a business person I am, but if I'm a bad fit, I'll tell them I don't think this is going to work, because I don't want to work. I don't want to work with these folks if I don't think I'm the right guy.
And
but there are
and I know we've talked about that. When you are not the right guy, what type of things are not right that makes you not the right guy?
Well, I've noticed in just general society today, there are people who want you to tell them what they want to hear and not particularly what's true. And there are people who appreciate honesty. And there are a lot of good salespeople out there who will tell people everything they want to hear, and they will get a great reaction from that. Whether or not they can deliver what they're talking about, or whether or not this is something that could be based in reality is another story. I'm not that guy. I'm a reality-based guy. And I also really do, and we've talked about this 100 times, I really do want to under-promise and over-deliver too.
For sure.
So I don't want to tell them how fantastic I am or how fantastic anything is, because I want them to have fair expectations of things. But when things go up here, I want them to be over the moon about it and be very happy and tell their friends, because it's about their happiness of the day. So that's kind of it. If I've got people who I really feel like just want me to tell them what they want to hear, we're not a good fit usually. Typically that's not a client that I want to work with, or who I think would be pleasant to work with.
Sure. Now, when you have the right person, the person who appreciates your honesty and appreciates your insight in things, how does it work? How do you feel that they're understanding your value to what they brought for you're bringing for the day?
Quite frankly, by that point, the dialogue is, dude, you'd be a fool not to go with me. This is perfect. And I'm being honest. They know that. Yeah. So, I've done very well with a certain clientele. And usually the clients that I do really well with are the ones that are a little weird. I mean, they're not typical.
Yeah.
And it's not particularly, it's not a bad thing at all. But it's those, if you looked up bride and groom online, you wouldn't see a picture of these two, or married people online or whatever. It would not be these people we're looking at. It would just be a completely different couple. I do really well with that. I do weird with the weird and wonderful. and that's where I think my strength is. Now I can do a typical wedding, of course, and I've done several, and I've worked with some great couples. But yeah, once in a while, you just, yeah, I get this. I get this. I do well with same-sex weddings. I do well with just folks that are a little different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when you click, you click. It's like anything else. I remember a long time ago, there was this girl that I used to, spend time with, and my mom said, I don't understand why you guys don't date, because you get along so well and you got a lot of the same interests. Why? Why don't you date this person?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mom, there's just no chemistry. We're not, that's not who we are. I don't have those kind of feelings for that person. It happens that way.
Yeah.
Everything looks good on paper, but the chemistry's not there.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, things could completely look insane on paper. It's like, this is never going to work. Yet, it's a wonderful fit.
Sometimes, yes.
Blanca and I are really, and I'm not trying to be funny, but we're a good example of that. There's no way that anybody who knew her and knew me would say, yeah, those two would be a great couple. No one would ever say that. We're completely different people. And I'm not really, John, I'm not even trying to be funny. We are completely different.
I would agree, as getting to meet.
You know us.
Yeah.
You've been to our home.
Yep.
But we work very well.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to be just like somebody to be compatible with them and have that chemistry and that energy and that thing, that it factor that's going to make this work. This I'm the DJ, you're the client thing work.
Sure.
Hens, man. I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, the idea that I wanted to basically do kind of in this little first part here is the idea, and then Brian, of course, kind of took it a different direction.
I went all, yeah, I've always screwing things up.
You went 180 on me. The point I wanted to get across is that when you're targeting your efforts towards the right type of people, that you have an idea of the person. As Brian said, there's a certain type of people he's looking for that are a little quirky, a little off, a little bit different. He knows the people he works the best for, and he knows those people, and he can confidently be able to approach or talk to them about things. And it was actually a good point as you're going through, is that even though these are your target audience, that doesn't mean that someone who doesn't fit that demographic may not be an incredible fit. You're going to have better results, most likely, by finding that target person, identifying that target person, and working that way. So for some of you, that might mean that doing wedding wire ads could be really good. Or it might be the wedding wire ads aren't reaching the right type of person, and maybe the not ads reach a better person, because as you find out, those two will reach two different audiences. Or it might mean that you're going to be better off going to a local bridal show that's being run by the country radio station, because you work better with those people who are into the country music, or whatever. Just to go and complain that no one understands your value and it's mainly because you're fishing in the wrong pool, definitely could
be. I mean, really, and this is all about just compatible personalities. Whether your personality is like someone else's or you just kind of just have that chemistry, it doesn't really matter. You need that chemistry, though. You need that click. And I mean, I've some of the people that I've worked with just in my career, I look back and it's like, my gosh, I couldn't be more different than these people. I couldn't be. But it really worked. It's a yin and yang that just happened, and it was wonderful. But really what I think it comes down to, now that you've got me talking about this and I'm thinking about this, shut up, stop laughing. It's an expectation thing. I think that's really where it lies. It doesn't really have anything to do so much with personality as much as it has to do with expectation.
So let's take that expectation. When their expectations for what is to happen at the event matches up with your strength set, how does that affect your confidence when you're talking to them about their day? Their expectations,
Oh,
your strength set, basically mirror each other.
right. It's perfect. My job becomes an easy job. And my job should be an easy job. I shouldn't be out there struggling every week doing these events.
Mm-hmm.
I should, at this point in my life, I'm seasoned. I should be able to go to work and it shouldn't be hard. It should be hard for other people to do what I do, but for me to do it, it shouldn't be hard. And in that meeting, if the meeting is hard, sometimes, something,
Yeah.
this isn't it. They're asking for things, or they have demands, or they have expectations that I'm not comfortable with. I mean, I'm sure I could do it. I could do it. It's not that I couldn't do it. I've done weirdo things before that there's no way I should have been able to do, and I've pulled them off. But I don't want to just pull it off, I want to be the right guy, the guy to do this for them. Yeah, it's great. It's great when you can just speak professionally with somebody and talk about things that you're good at, or things that you want, maybe not good at, but things you understand.
Sure.
I like that. When I go through like the breakdown when I have client meetings, when you're there and you're having the coffee and they look at you and they start asking you weird questions because they don't know what to ask, like, well, what kind of speakers do you have? Not that anybody cares, but they don't know what else to ask.
Exactly.
Right?
They get to that. They have that list that they read off some of DJ's website.
Yeah. Do you have liability insurance? Oh boy. So I stop them and I'll simply say, I want to answer all your questions, but before I do you mind if I ask you some questions? Oh, go ahead. And then that's when I start trying to just get a feel for what's going on and get a feel for what's going to work for timeline and get a feel for what's going to work for all of the grand entrances and toasts and cake cutting, and logistically speaking, how things are going to work with ceremony and cocktail and reception.
Yeah.
And based on their answers, not only can I kind of mentally put the stuff in order, but I could also see red flags and say, well, hold on a minute. Let me just suggest something to you. And I'll just start riffing on helping them. Based, not riffing, but helping them.
Yeah.
Maybe, you want to do this at 4 and you want to do this at 4:15. You do realize that we have to move 150 people from location A, a half mile down the road, to location B. You might want to put a little more time in there. What if you did it like this, and this? It allows for some time. Oh, that's a great idea. We didn't even think of that. Of course you didn't. This isn't what you do. This is what I do. And that's where I'm, I guess, showing my most value in that client meeting is that I'm not just this guy spinning music. I'm helping them organize this stuff. I'm putting it together where it flows nice. That's my value. And that's where I can help people. So on the flip side of that, when somebody already shows up with an Excel sheet of everything that's going to happen, like this, and this, I'm not your guy.
Sure.
I'm already not your guy. You already know every damn thing. If I try to help you and save you from the disaster that this is going to create, you're going to get mad at me because I'm undermining you or something. So you need to just go with a yes man.
So you've got confidence in your ability when you have the right person, and you're confident in what you can do and what you're bringing to the table. How do you, in your little example here, you gave us a little on do this instead of that, but how can you be confident and show that value but not seem like a know-it-all that you're going to turn people off? Because I could see that being an easy thing to have happen. It's like, oh, I know so much better than you that this is not going to work, and you're stupid, and be smart and do it my way. How do you balance that?
I try to talk about them. I mean, this is what I'm trying to do from the start. Before I answer your questions, do you mind if I ask you some? And then it's not talking about me at all. I'm just helping. And that's cool. I'm talking about them and what they have going on. And then I'm seeing, if I see an issue, I'll say, can I offer some advice? And I tell them too, look, just so you understand, and I've said this before too, and I don't know how else to say it, but if somebody has a better way of wording this, please let me know in the comments section or send me a Facebook message or something. But what I tell them is, please understand that you're Rocky. I'm the trainer. That's all I am.
Okay.
I'm offering suggestions on how you can box. But ultimately, you're the athlete, and you're going to go into the ring, and you're going to fight how you fight. But I'm here to help. I'm here to offer support, and I'm here to offer suggestions and see things that maybe you can't see. Now, what you do with that advice, that's up to you. So I'm the coach. You're the athlete. I'm only the coach, not the boss. You're the boss. I don't know how else to express that to people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's true, because I don't want to go in and take over anybody's event. What I want to do is make sure that their personality is very much a part of this, and hold their hand a little bit and just kind of point out little places where maybe there could be some improvement. And it's not this huge change. It's just a little time shift or a flip-flop of something just to make the evening flow better. So that's not talking about me. That's talking about them and their event. And I think that's probably Bolton. I wasn't going to say I'm Rocky. You're Rocky. I'm Bullwinkle. I wasn't going to say that.
I was actually waiting for that the first time. I was like, is he going to go there? Because we've talked about this in the past, and he's mentioned the boxing analogy. It's like, is this going to be the time he mentions Bullwinkle?
Well, I've just simply said I'm the coach. I'm only the coach. I'm not the boss. You're the boss. But yeah. I don't even know what I was saying. It doesn't matter.
Well, I think one thing that I'm hearing, kind of a constant or a consistent message, is that you're going to really focus on asking them questions, trying to understand them, and then finding ways in which you can serve them, and to be able to convey that message to them, that you're there to facilitate, you're there to help them and to serve them. And obviously they've got to be the right person for your service to them to be the most effective and to give them the results they want.
Yeah. Well, they come in, I think, to the situation expecting to interview you for a job. That's what they're thinking in their head. And maybe they have experience with this, maybe they don't. It depends on who they are professionally. But if you can flip the script and interview them, sort of, just kind of find out what's going on and get a feel for things, it shows not only that I care, it also shows that I want to help and that I've done this before, and I think that's important. And they'll ask about experience and things, and I really kind of try to downplay it. So yeah, I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
You know what? I've done a lot of weddings like this. This is not going to be okay. Let's talk about yours. But I downplay that. Anytime it's never about me. It's not about me when I'm performing. It's not about me in the meeting. It's got to be about them.
Certainly.
But you know what? There are people out there who probably make it about them, and they're very successful. We have politicians like that. That they say I every 10 seconds, and me, and this is what I accomplished, and this is what I did. And for some reason, that obviously resonates with voting publics, because they vote for these people.
They're still there, yes.
They're still there. I can't in good conscience do that. I don't want to do that. I want to talk about them. So.
I'm just reading the chat here. There was all of a sudden a rash of messages that popped up. I think that they asked them. Okay, I think we're. So a lot of the questioning, the conversation, and such. Another area that we hear DJs when they're like, I can't convey my value to people, prospects, because they don't want to meet. And some of the things that you've been talking about are probably easiest handled in a face-to-face meeting where you can see body language and do different things. But could you have this questioning that you're doing and some of this conversation you're having, could this be done via as like Zoom, a video chat like this? Would you be able to do that in that format, or is it just not applicable?
I think you could. Yeah. I mean, I don't, but I think you could. And again, perhaps this is just my weird perspective on this, but an event like this and a job like this, from a DJ's point of view, should be so important to the DJ. And you would think that something like a wedding would be important enough to a prospective client that they would want to take the time to meet and talk about it.
Yeah, you would think.
If you're so busy that we can't sit down and talk, then I don't know, maybe I'm not your guy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I mean, I know a lot of people do this via email, and that would drive me absolutely crazy, because it's so hard to reason with someone in text. If you don't believe me, post your political views on social media right now. Go on Facebook and talk about who you think is good or bad and see what happens in your life. It's not going to work out. Have a conversation with us about somebody face to face, and it's a very, very different interaction.
Well, yes.
So, I mean, nothing beats FaceTime. That's why I'm going to mobile beat. It's not because I never have an opportunity to talk to anybody, because I do. I can talk to them on Facebook all day long, but just being there, and I don't know, there's something about it. It just, it's good. Nothing beats that FaceTime.
Certainly not. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, we've got a generation of younger people who just haven't grown up having the interaction. I mean, when you and I were growing up, our interaction with our friends were face to face, playing in the backyard, whether it's ball or whatever. Today,
I understand.
Yeah.
The prequel, or the forward to eventually having the meeting might be a little back and forth, but eventually you got to meet with them to know if you're a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of effort type stuff. It's a lot easier just to say things.
Yeah. And
see a facial expression and see excitement in a face or disappointment in a face.
It's huge.
It's, to me, it is. And yeah, I'm the old man talking here, but man, if it's important enough for them to meet with me, then I know this is an important event to them, and it's important to me. I'm there too. So let's see if I'm the guy. And that's what I tell people when we do the meeting, or I suggest the meeting at all. Let's see if I'm the guy for the job.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go any further, let's see if I'm the guy for the job. How about we meet up at Starbucks? Let's talk.
Yeah.
That's almost how I think it's like the easiest way to approach it.
Mm-hmm.
Before you make a decision one way or the other, because we've been talking, we're going back and forth. What are we doing here? Let's talk and make sure I'm the right guy. It's like Match.com. I mean, you can go back and forth on a dating site forever, but you don't know if you're compatible until after the first date. It's the same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely can be. It's just the struggle, I think, with this younger generation, and how I think we're the video, again, what we're doing tonight is going to be the future. This is, the people in the chat room have been talking about, they're using different things and they're meeting with people, and Chris, you're going to have to explain to me how you're using Tinder for this. I'm just saying, but there's this new generation. This is how, and some of the younger brides I'm working with this year, we've done video chat. We haven't met face to face, because for one of the biggest reasons, and I have to agree, is that they live an hour and a half one way and from me, so we're an hour and a half apart. If we would meet in the middle, well, we've each got an hour and a half of drive into it, 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back, what have you. Whereas if we can do this, we can talk for 45 minutes, half an hour, 40, an hour and a half, whatever it is, and we have no travel in between. Now, it's not the same, but there's still a lot of things that is so much better. And I've found that moving from the conversation on Messenger, because that's where most of them have, and even if it's just a little 15-minute, hey, I've got a few questions, and it'd be a lot quicker to me to ask these questions and find out, as you mentioned earlier, if I'm the guy for the job. If we could do this in just a quick little video chat, and it's nothing formal, you can just use your cell phone, and we can just do that. And they haven't. I guess maybe we're getting to the age where they're so, that selfie world that they're like, yeah, no problem. I'll video chat. And, there was one couple that I video chatted with and they were happy to be on video and that. And in the background were stacks of dishes and different things. I don't think they probably didn't clean the kitchen all week. They didn't care. And you know what? It didn't bother me. It was just, I was thinking to myself, if I would do a video chat and that was happening in the back end of our house, my wife would kill me.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Having said all of this, John, I mean, I've done this over the phone before with great success.
Yeah, if we have to, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that video is even necessary. If that's what they would want to look at me while I'm talking to them, that's fine. But I have done this over the phone with great success. Where I hit that brick wall with anybody is this just texting, messaging, emailing back and forth. That's where I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. And it's almost like sometimes I get the impression that they're trying to dominate me.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm not trying to dominate you. I'm trying to help you. But, let's just talk. Let's just get some dialogue. I don't care if it's a video conference or a phone conference or we're sitting having a coffee. Doesn't matter to me. But it would be really nice if we could just talk. And yeah, you can convey everything that I've talked about, I feel, in this show tonight, opposed from the facial expressions.
Yeah.
Doing it with just a simple phone conversation. Yeah,
a lot can be done, but the struggle becomes is will they get on the phone with you? And that it seems like they'd prefer to message or text. Phone, no, that's way down the list. Meeting is probably a little bit close up the list, but not as far. It's pretty much down that list. A video chat occasionally, and I've even had some success where I popped on the phone and I've recorded a 15-second. I didn't have time enough to type it all in or want to type it all in. It's like, hey, thanks for this. Thanks for the question. I'm just about ready to go in this building, and I'll be back to you in a little bit with your answer and such. And in the meantime. And I threw a question out. I don't remember what the question was that they could answer. And then, because as Alan Berg talked about, always leave them with a question. And that does work. Always having a question.
I had a couple emergency events last summer.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like most of my events were last minute emergency last summer. And there were several times when it was a phone call. It's like, Brian, I'm going to put you on speaker so you can talk to my fiance as well. I'm like, perfect. What's his name? Because I'm getting all this right now. Oh, it's Bob. Okay, Bob, Lisa, how are you? I'm Brian. Oh my God, thank you so much for helping us. No problem. Let's put this together. We can do this. It's going to be, not my first rodeo. We got this. It's worked great. It really has. But yeah, just, using your mouth to talk. ultimately get there. Even if after you have a meeting, you never speak again, it's probably okay. You can probably send messages back and forth at that point. But you need to speak to them at one point or another to make sure that they're human beings.
Yeah, to a point. Otherwise, are they going to, do you take credit cards and can you send the extra $1,000 to my wedding planner over there?
I'm an African prince, by the way.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad. You've got that $17 million check you were going to send me too. I've been waiting for that. Let's see. So Bar talking, sharing some things about sometimes meeting people in person, and there are many DJs like that also that they don't come across in person as well as they do in the performance. Their performance, that's a comfort area, and because a lot of DJs are incredible introverts, meeting new people. I had a friend who would go to the bridal show, and he was literally in the bathroom 15 minutes before the bridal show was going on, and he was tossing up breakfast because just the anxiety and the things, because he just hated, but he knew that was part of the job, and he would go, that nervous stomach just killed him.
Yeah.
So I get you, Bar. I understand that. My recommendation is you get Tinder for brides that Chris is now going to be putting together this evening, and that will be our new methodology of.
Hold on a second. Is Bar saying that he has anxiety talking to people?
And Bar is an interesting. If you guys haven't met Bar in person,
okay, I get it.
There's the Bar.
Now that you say that,
Bar in front of the camera, and there's the Bar in person, and they are two different entities, and that's with a lot of people. You know, the John that's in person is outgoing and flamboyant and all over the place, and then John on video is much more passive and quiet.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Well, can I just throw this out there?
Uh-huh.
I think it's almost perfect that Bar, because I've spent time with Bar. Unfortunately, I didn't get to spend time with him at NAMM. We didn't cross paths, but we spent a fair amount of time at NAMM last year together, and I really like him. And I've said that before on the show. He's a good guy, and I enjoy talking to him. He's incredibly humble. If I watch his videos, it's like, oh my God, he's like screaming at you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's kind of like, flipping the switch. I will say that when I was young, I was more like that. I was more reserved in person, not completely reserved. And Bar's not completely reserved. He's not shy, and he's not timid, but he's not the guy on camera, and I would assume he wouldn't be the guy on stage either. That he is just sitting down having a sandwich with him at lunchtime. But that's almost like the perfect setup for under promise and over deliver.
Yeah,
because
I see that.
All a guy like Bar has to express to these folks, and as long as he's professional, all they have to say is, well, just so you understand that when I'm on stage, I've got a lot more energy than what you're seeing right here. So, I'm a professional person. We're having this, meeting, whatever, but the guy on stage is got a little more, bite than I have, or whatever.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But you don't have to dwell on it. Just mention it.
And that's a great, because that's Beardo is who's meeting with them and planning, but DJ Bar is on stage, and I know numerous DJs who have that, and one of the very first times that back in the early, it was probably mid '90s, when a friend of mine and we went to do a show together, and I'd never done a show with him before, and there was my friend, and then when he hit the stage, it was like, who is that guy? I mean, it was just, there was a switch, and he was the entertainer, and he was doing things, and for a guy who couldn't, could barely tie his shoe and couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time, all of a sudden he's able to do handstands and these things because he was on stage.
Yeah. Do you know Chris Bedke?
Yeah.
Big Chris.
Yeah, Chris from California. Yep.
You've talked to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A different man on stage. A completely different guy on stage. He's amazing. He's a presence. He's larger than life in person, but on stage it's like, holy crap, the guy's in his beautiful suit, and his MC skills are amazing. But when he's speaking to you, he doesn't always convey that same thing to you. And sometimes when you talk to him, it's very monotone, and he's talking like this, and he even talks to clients like this. Sometimes it's just kind of no energy kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
There's not a lot of, but when he's on stage, oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, because
different.
If you would have said that was that he was that type of outgoing personality in front of a crowd, I would have no. I've known Chris for a number of years and not super well, but he's always been that really kind of calm, mild mannered, matter of fact guy. That's just that guy that's just the even keel type person all the time.
Yeah, I have a little bit of video of him on my YouTube channel. It's back in 2010. It's my niece Andrea's wedding because he DJ'd it in Phoenix.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of video on there. He's doing the shoe game. I know I got that on video. Yeah. It doesn't even look like him to me because I know him so well. I see him up there, and his just presence and his voice and his body language and everything, it's just so impressive. I mean, even if he was more outgoing, I guess, in person, it would still be incredibly impressive what he does. So if you're interested in seeing it, go back on my YouTube channel. It's, I don't know, try Phoenix, try Arizona, try Andrea, try Nice. You can even try Chris Bedke on my channel for a search. But yeah, very impressive and neat. So Bar's not the only one. A lot of folks are out there like that. But again, I think Chris uses that to his advantage. as the under promise and over deliver guy, because when you talk to that guy on the phone or even talk to him in a meeting, that is not what you think you're going to get on stage.
Mm-hmm.
What you get on stage is a surprise.
Yeah.
And it's a pleasant one. So
Interesting. That would be something. I'll have to go and find that video, because
trying to keep this positive tonight.
Yeah,
because there's positive stuff to this.
Oh, there definitely is. And some in the chat room, they've been talking about, the people, the first thing they're asking about is, hey, what's your price? And of course, last week we covered between last week and Monday night, the things that should give you the confidence in your price. You've got to be able to come into this working or talking to the right people. When they're asking for price, there's times where that's just not the right person. And yes, they might push you and do different things, and you've got to, that's where, give them a range, what have you. I think the first thing we should do is, if you're having issues with this, is really figuring out, are you reaching the right person? Are you reaching the right pool of people for what you do and what you're offering? Now, we all know Byron Gunter and his Buckeye Entertainment out of Ohio there. His customer is going to be a lot different than my customer. His customer, and the way he's built his business, is on the idea of basically making it to automated and taking orders and fulfilling those orders and doing a solid job, and people are happy with that in most cases.
Yeah.
That works for him. Now, he's going to be advertising and marketing to a different bride than, let's go to our friend Bill Herman, who is doing much more personalized, customized. Bill Herman could advertise all day in Byron's pool of wedding type clients, and Bill would fail. Might book one or two, but he's going to fail. Byron, on the other hand, could be trying to market and advertise to Bill Herman type clients, and he's going to fail. So the right client is a big part of expressing your value, because when you find that right fit, as Brian mentioned earlier, that bride is going to see something in Brian, and that chemistry will be there because they have a similar interest. As an example, I had a groom email yesterday, and he's like, "Hey, I'm getting married this date. Are you available?" Great. And he goes, "Cool. I've seen a couple of pictures, and I want to do some intelligent uplighting in the room, and I want to have this really cool kind of a Star Wars-y look for." And right there was enough. He knows that I have the intelligent lights, and with the Star Wars thing, we're going to talk about that. My groom from 2 weeks ago, when we were both into the some Marvel things, and we talked about little things like that connection, that personal connection, and we had that helps to convey a value that I bring, because first we see things eye to eye, and we're going to be able to create because we both kind of understand where each other's coming from a little bit more.
Yeah, it's absolutely cool when you can relate to someone on just on some personal level other than just this transaction. I remember talking about disco, how much I like disco. It just came up.
Yeah.
With this client. And I talked about, the records that I have back here and how I'm kind of curating a collection of really good disco 12 inches. I don't know why I'm doing it. I'm just enjoying it. And come to find out, this gentleman was a librarian. He's like, "That's awesome. That's what I do. I'm a librarian, and I'm also a disco fan." And then that opened this whole other thing. I'm working on the car. I mean, I can bring up this car thing. If I see a guy, he's like, "Yeah, I'm building a car right now," and then you tell him, and then you got something to talk about. It's happened more than once. You just find that common interest, and sometimes that helps. If you need to break the ice, if you need to earn trust, those common interest topics or points that you can go to are very helpful.
Mm-hmm. For sure, and that helps to break that ice and get on that same page.
They trust you at that point, and they feel they have something they can relate to you with, which is huge when it comes to any relationship. This is just one of many relationships that I work on in my life. I mean, if you have kids, you have relationships with them, other family, and your neighbors, and even the guy at the gas station. This is just yet another relationship that needs to be cultivated somehow in a healthy way. And sometimes you need to extend that olive branch of, "Hey, I understand you."
Mm-hmm. And
I'm not just this guy talking about weddings and you're totally not into this. Hey, I do cars too. Oh, I do cars. Yeah, we got something to talk about then.
oh, for sure, and that understands you, and not being there to force your ideas on, and kind of circling back to that idea where that concept we were talking about earlier, where you've got a lot of experience and you're going to be able to make some suggestions, and some people would view those as a negative. But once you build that trust, once you build that rapport, once you build that commonality in a slightly different area, they're going to, oh, this guy knows his stuff with cars, and if I can trust him there, I'm going to hear him out a little bit more.
Yeah. DJ JZ is throwing bait at me. He's talking about lime. So, yeah, I know the language you speak. Babe, We're Gonna Love Tonight's actually my song. I don't enjoy Unexpected Lovers. There's another one, and you probably know what it is, Jay, that I really like, and it escapes me right now. But yeah, Babe, We're Gonna Love Tonight is my lime track, and I know that's more 80s, but I really enjoy it. It's a husband and wife team from I don't know, like Portland or something, that did disco for a minute. They're pretty cool. Sorry, he threw bait. I had to take
I know you would. Yeah, you wouldn't leave that alone. That's just
yeah. It's not a music show tonight, Brian. Shut up.
Because otherwise, well, look at the time. It's 11 o'clock now instead of. Fun stuff. Well, so gang, that was just a little bit of discussion and such on talking about the value side of things. Now, next Monday night, we're going to be releasing, while I'm at Photo Booth Expo, there's going to be a video dropping in the convention series. This particular is going to be kind of digging a little bit more into the value thing. And I've got video clips being shared. I think we're going to have probably about a dozen DJs from around the industry who have shared some tips on how to convey that value message to prospects. And we're going to be putting that into Monday night's show and kind of stitching that all together into this kind of a neat little discussion on value and giving you guys some tips and ideas. And that'll be dropping next Monday night on the DJNTV convention series. You'll be able to go out to djntv.com/value. That will be the link. It's not there yet. But djntv.com/value. That will be the show link, and it will be going live next Monday, which would be February 25th, maybe? I don't know, something like that. Okay, that's enough advertising for tonight. So,
yeah, sounds good.
Next week, Brian, I think I'm going to have you and Howie. You guys do a live chat if it works out for you guys, because I'll be down in Vegas. So Brian will be able to post the link for that on his Facebook page. So go out, if you're not following Brian's Facebook page, find him, Brian S. Red. Find him, follow him. You could friend him, but he's probably full of friends. Find him.
YouTube, it's even easier. Just watch the channel stuff.
Yeah, and he'll
My
drop.
Facebook isn't that interesting. I post stuff nobody cares about. I painted the air cleaner lid and nobody cares.
Yeah.
But if you care about DJ stuff, go to my
YouTube page. You go out, search Brian S. Red, and it will pop up.
the Brian S. Red on Facebook is the DJ stuff. The Brian Scott Red on Facebook is the personal page.
Yeah.
But the YouTube stuff is the good stuff.
So pop out there, follow those, so that way next Tuesday night, you guys will be able to get the links and such for the shows. And after that, I think we're done. Brian, thank you much for some thoughts and insight. And gang, we'll catch you next time. Good night, everybody.